When most people try to incorporate personal stories into their communication, it feels distracting, pointless, and a little awkward. But in this training, I will show you the 3 ways to seamlessly integrate a personal story into any presentation, teaching, or sales pitch. I'm Tom, and this is Selfless Storytelling, Part 3. This is one part of a multi-part video training, so make sure you check out the other videos to make sure you don't miss anything. If you haven't done so already, make sure you go to tomhansentraining.com to download that free workbook. It's a step-by-step guide to seamlessly integrate your personal story into your teaching, presentation, or sales pitch. It goes way beyond everything I'm saying in this video, so make sure you go check it out. So let's start off by talking about the 2 main objections I hear from people going through selfless storytelling. The first one, people say, "Listen, Tom, I don't have any good stories. Nothing interesting happens to me." That's a total lie. Yes, you do. Everyone has incredible stories. You have a story, and you have a story, and you have a story. Everyone has a story. One of my favorite quotes is Ira Glass. He said, "Great stories happen to those who can tell them." Great stories happen to those who can tell them that it's not about the experiences, it's about you as the storyteller. If you grow and you exercise those muscles of being a storyteller, you will find that you can take any experience and turn it into a great story. Going to the grocery store to get milk is an awesome story if you know how to tell it. The second objection I hear all the time is, "Tom, for my kind of communication, my kind of sales pitches, my kind of teachings, my kind of presentations, it would just be weird and awkward to tell a personal story. How in the world am I going to tell a story about my kids or my childhood in the middle of a sales pitch? That would just feel awkward." If you can relate to that, I can relate to that too. I have been there, I have struggled through that, but I'm here to tell you, I have pushed through on the other side of that, and it's worth it, it's awesome. There is so much research to back up storytelling communication styles, it's overwhelming. It is the new normal in the modern professional world, and I'm telling you, you've got to embrace it, you've got to be a selfless storyteller. But I've got to show you how to seamlessly integrate stories so they don't feel like a huge distraction when you tell them. There is a very simple way to incorporate a story so it's not a distraction, so it doesn't feel weird, and it just backs up every point that you're making in whatever communication you're doing. It's awesome. Let me show you. The first way to seamlessly integrate stories into your communication is to never tell a story without a point. There has to be a point, a purpose, and it has to be clearly communicated to your audience. If the audience doesn't understand the point of why you're telling a story, it will feel like a huge distraction and a waste of time. You're going to have audiences going, "Why is he telling a story about walking through the woods? I just wanted the details of this product. That's all I wanted. This is a waste of my time." They will feel like that if you don't communicate the purpose of your communication. It can be a loose connection, but it's really important to do so. Anytime you're going to tell a story, make sure you understand the purpose of that story and make sure you clearly communicate that to your audience. The second way to seamlessly integrate stories into your communication is to always have a beginning, middle, and end. Every story should have a beginning, a middle, and an end. But you want to know why most stories are awful? Most stories are awful because they're all middle. They're all middle. There's no beginning and there's no end. It's just a list of details. People are left asking questions like, "Why was there a dog at the grocery store? And why did your grandma kick that soccer ball?" Because you're just listing details. It's all middle. So let's break that down. What's the beginning of a story? A beginning of a story is the setting and the characters. That's clearly communicated to the audience. What is the setting of the story and who is involved? The middle is a series of events. Okay, and every kind of story is different. It can be an adventure story or a rags to riches story like we talked about in that other video. And then you have the end of the story, and the end of the story is resolution and a statement of purpose. You stating what you learned, what was the realization, what was the purpose of it all. A beginning, a middle, and an end. Make sure your stories aren't just all middle. The third way to seamlessly integrate stories into your communication is to start with the end. Start with the end of the story. Tell the end of the story first. That seems kind of weird because I was telling you beginning, middle, and end, but great stories start with the end. If you think about a movie or a TV show where they've done that, where they cut to the last scene and they leave out a little bit, and then they start back at the beginning, and it leaves you sitting there the whole time going, how are we gonna get there? I know where we're going, I'm feeling the tension, I'm intrigued, But we've got to get there, and I don't know how. You can do that with your storytelling. Start with the end. Start by stating that realization of purpose right at the beginning. And that's a great way to transition into a story. That's a great way to state the purpose and communicate that clearly to your audience so that it doesn't feel like a distraction. Always start with the end. I have a good friend, and she starts a story by saying, "I stopped letting meaningless tests define me when I auditioned for American Idol." I think that's an awesome beginning to a story. Who doesn't want to hear the end of that story? When I auditioned to American Idol, you're like, "Oh my gosh, you auditioned for American Idol? Tell me, you're engaged, you're intrigued." For me, I say, in my Cinderella story, I say, when I was 17 years old, I had a high school guidance counselor change my life forever. That's really the end of the story. That's the end. That's the happily ever after part of our story, but you should always start with that. Always start with the end because it builds intrigue. It's a great transition. It's the best way to tell any story from the end first. So that's it, guys. That's how you seamlessly work a story into any communication you're doing. 1, have a purpose that you know and clearly communicate it. 2, work through your stories in beginning, middle, and end fashion. Beginning, the setting and characters. Middle, a series of events. In the end, a resolution and statement of purpose. And then the last thing, always start with the end. Always state the end up front to build intrigue, to transition, and to get that buy-in from the audience. Thanks for watching, guys. That's the end of this video, and this is the end of the whole training. I hope you watched the other videos and got a lot of value out of them. I really enjoyed doing them. Also, if you haven't done so already, go to tomhansentraining.com to get that free workbook. There's great stuff in there. It's a step-by-step guide to seamlessly integrate any personal story into a teaching, presentation, or sales pitch. Also, please like, follow, subscribe on all the things. It really helps people find the content, and I would really appreciate it. You guys are awesome. Become the selfless storyteller. See you next time. Bye.